It's showtime, baby. Let's go. Woo!
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, Iceman Jeff Trunapole, and as always, I bring you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of some of the best barbecue around. That's right, it's Midwest Best Barbecue. And if you have not checked them out yet, what in the world is wrong with you? Please go out to Midwest Best. They're out there on Ward's Corner Road. Get you some CTB wings. Get you some Uno wings, G-Funk. There's not a bad thing there, to be honest. You just throw a dart at the menu and pick something, and it's delicious. I would not steer you wrong. Pork chop, I know, it loves the macaroni and cheese. It is delicious. But please, make sure you go out there and support Tim and Nicole. They are great people. They're Bengals fans. And they got delicious food, so make sure you check them out. Also, the show is being brought to you by Meyer Door and Window and more. So, if you're looking for any doors and windows for your house, please go check out Meyer Door and Window at www.meyercincinnati.com. I have them in my own house right now. The windows are awesome. They're energy efficient. They're easy to clean, and they look great. And as always, my West Side piece, please go to Shibit. Go to Hail Mary's. It's your ticket to the game. They got like a big-ass TV screen there. You can watch the Reds here and about 640. You can watch all kinds of the NBA playoffs if you want there. Get some beer specials. They always got food trucks there, so make sure you check out Hail Mary's. And as always, I'm coming to you live from this glorious place down here. It's the Ice Cave. And the Ice Cave is brought to you by T Properties. T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out their website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And you know it, I got the gear on today because he's back, baby. Jackpot Joey is back. And if I was any of the NFL teams, I'd be scared because Joe was throwing dimes yesterday and today. So make sure you're geared up for our Super Bowl run with the Jackpot Joey stuff. It's right there, jackpotjoey9.com. Remember, portions of the proceeds go to the Joe Burrow Foundation. All right, we'll get to some news. Let's see who's in there first. Let's get the comments. Let's see here. Ross is in there. Brad's in there. Paul Painter, my boy Pork Chop's in there. And Ringless Bandit. What is up, guys? All right, like I said, Jackpot Joey is back, and all the haters, they're like, oh, I don't know if he's going to be back in time. It's pretty bad risk. You know, all the internet doctors that I always get sick and tired of. And to me, I don't know about you guys, even if I was a doctor, I think it's kind of hard to examine anybody from a TV screen, let alone your phone. So all these people saying that, you know, he was going to be out for a while. It might not be the same. Did you see any of the videos that the Bengals posted? It's not good to my Twitter feed. I posted it. You know, he's looking fine. Florio's is an idiot. Sorry, I got to put him out there. Him and Chris Sims did the best rivalries. And, of course, he didn't even put the Bengals on the rivalry list. You know, the best rivalry in the NFL is the Bengals and Chiefs. But, of course, Mike Florio. Why does he have a job? I'd really like to know that. I don't understand it. Anyway, guys, I hope you checked out the... I don't even say show, but it was a lot of live hits that I did yesterday all day long right here on the YouTube channel, on Twitter, on Facebook. We were at the Fairways for Airways Javante Woods golf outing, and it was awesome. I mean, there's a lot of Bengal greats there. The Hall of Famer Anthony Munoz was there. My former college broadcasting brother, Sam Wilcox, was there. Of course, Icky was there. Corey, unfortunately, couldn't make it because, dude, I'm not kidding. He was getting his knee drained, so he was unable to make it. He will be here at our Jackpot Joey golf outing along with Icky Woods. But it was awesome. If you guys did not get to check any of the videos, now please go check them out right here on the YouTube channel. Hit the thumbs up, hit the likes, and do me a favor. if you can donate, please donate to the JavanteWoods.org foundation, JavanteWoodsFoundation.org. Go donate there for asthma, because again, still 11 people a day die from this, and this is something that you shouldn't die from. I mean, I'm sorry. It's something that we should be able to, I won't say fix, but at least prevent. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to prevent it. We're trying to prevent people from, like Icky's son passing away for, way too early, way too young to be passing away. And you don't have to go through what Icky and his family have gone through, like he said, losing his baby. So do me a favor. Go to the JavanteWoodsFoundation.org and go out there and donate to them. They also have a cruise coming up here soon. That's on, I think it's on the Javante Woods Foundation Twitter feed. If it's not, check out on the Ixter. I think he's got it out there on his Twitter. I know I've tweeted it out a couple times. That would be an absolute blast. If I didn't get seasick so easy, I would definitely probably be going to this, but I get seasick. I get car sick. I get sick on a freaking airplane. I mean, it's bad. I was talking to Andrew and Ryan before the show here, which we get these guys in a minute. I'm getting old. I'm walking around having a blast at the Icky Woods golf outing, or excuse me, Javante Woods golf outing, and I'm walking around and live streaming. You guys wouldn't know it happened, but I'm live streaming. This is when Katie Blackburn was telling me that she shot 17 under. And all of a sudden, I feel this pop in my ankle. I'm like, what in the hell? And all of a sudden, the outside of my ankle, excuse me, started hurting. And I'm like, falling apart. This is what happens when you get almost 50. And my wife said, well, did you twist it? I'm like, no, I was just walking. She said, well, you had to twist it. I was like, I felt a pop. Anyway, it's hurting, but I made it through today. I made it through work today. But yeah, that's a sign of old age. But we got a lot of cool stuff happening here in Cincinnati with the Bengals. Reds news, TJ Frito's been activated. That's good news. Hopefully, maybe he will help get this offense going. That would be a good thing, because, our pitching has been fine. But, we got to hit, man. And that's one thing I thought we would hit. But you got to remember this. I told you guys this before. I said, this is a young team. There are going to be ups and downs. It's 162 games. Right now, we're in the down area. We had this last year. This has got to end tonight, though. They can't keep dropping, 5 in a row, 6 in a row. They got to end this tonight. So, hopefully TJ Frito gives them a spark. I haven't seen the lineup yet. Maybe he's at the top of the lineup. I kind of doubt it, but who knows? Maybe he is. We'll see. Anyway, I've rambled on enough here. Give you guys some stuff to talk. We are going to be doing some grading of the Bengals draft from my boys from Gridiron Grading. We got Ryan and we got Andrew in the background here. If you guys don't follow them, please do. They do a great job of covering the draft and covering the prospects and stuff like that. Make sure you guys check these guys out. But let's get to them. Let's talk about this Bengals draft and how they thought about it. Here's Ryan and here's Andrew. What's up, boys?
What's going on, Jeff? Who day?
How you doing, Jeff? Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming on here. We're in the middle. This is kind of the lull before we really get going here. We got OTA starting and stuff. But I do want to go back to the draft. And personally, there's one person I thought was a reach on this draft, and we'll get to him. But I overall thought the Bengals had a pretty good draft. I wish I would have put money down on Mims, because I was 99.99999% sure they were going to draft him. Just the way the board was going to fall, I thought he'd be the one that was there, especially if Byron Murphy wasn't there, which he wasn't. So anyway, what's you guys, just real quick here, Angela, I'll let you go first. What's your thoughts real quickly, just oversee on the draft before we start getting into all the draft picks?
Yeah, overall, Jeff, I think this was our favorite draft the Bengals have had since we started doing this in 2020, and that includes even the Burrow draft. And reason being is here they were picking 18th. They didn't have any, home run picks right off the top that were right there for them. And we thought, specifically me, I thought that, they drafted the first 3 rounds were excellent. I think Amarius Mims, we talked about him at length for months. I think he could be the best player in this class. I think that's exactly the type of pick they needed to make. And then coming back with Chris Jenkins, who's going to enter the rotation right away. He's great against the run. I think that was a home run pick too. And then Burton in round 3. I just think those 3 picks before we get to McKinley Jackson or anything like that were just excellent. I think that can carry this class. And then to get a guy like Matt Lee in round 7, who we thought could have gone in round 2. If he gets a real chance to play, they need to give him a chance. he can be a starter for them at center. So to come back and end the draft that way, I walked away smiling at the end of the weekend, and I'll let Ryan take it away here. I know you have a lot of the same thoughts, but no, overall, super exciting, I think, as a Bengals fan to see that happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll echo a lot of what Andrew said, but I think what really stood out to me is we saw how free agency has played out the past couple of years, and at least for the first time in the Burrow era of the Bengals, it's really coming down to how well the team can draft to fill out all of the different roster spots when you have a lot of guys that are worthy and are being paid a lot of money. So to come away with a potential starter at offensive tackle, defensive tackle, wide receiver, center, and not just guys that are potential starters by virtue of spots being open, but because we genuinely think they have the ability to play there and play early and play often. It's something that's incredibly refreshing in that, like Andrew said, when they haven't been handed a top 5 pick, it's just really rewarding to see the changes that they've made over the past couple of years and how it's going to move and look moving forward. So super excited how this draft turned out and really hopeful and looking forward to how they all play this upcoming season.
Yeah, and just like Nathan Ron here says, Jackpot Joey spoke today, and he says he's fired up. I don't know about you guys. I'm fired up about that. I'm going to put this out here real quick. I am not surprised of where Burrow is at. I think everything was trending in the right direction. I like what he said today about he isn't going to push it. I think he learned from last year where he kept pushing the calf, and he probably shouldn't. Hindsight's 20/20. But he's looking really good. And guys, if we got a fully healthy Jackpot Joey, we got a shot to win every single game. Not that we're going to go undefeated, but we got a shot to win every single game and go to the Super Bowl. Now, on top of that, you add another 6'8" guy, or 6'7" guy, Mims. And the thing is, people are like, well, he only played 8 games. I was like, but his athletic ability and his ceiling is so high. I think this is a perfect spot for him. Let's just say Trent Brown gets injured like he's gotten injured the last couple of years. And if that's by like week 6, 7, 8, maybe week 4, who knows, somewhere around there, that helps Mims get his feet wet, get ready to go. I'm not scared at all to plug him right in at right tackle and let's go. And I don't think we're going to miss a beat. What's your guys' thoughts on Mims' fit and his ceiling? Yeah, Ryan, I'll let you go first this time.
Yeah, I think, as Andrew mentioned, his ceiling is arguably the highest in the entire draft class, and that's by virtue of his athleticism, but also in the limited snaps he's played, he was arguably the best offensive tackle and specifically a pass blocker. And with how often the Bengals are dropping back with Joe Burrow at QB, right, you need someone that, despite the limited amount of snaps, is that efficient and that strong, specifically as a pass protector. And the beauty of the Trent Brown signing is that you don't have to throw him in right away. Andrew and I would be confident if you did, starting week 1, put him out there. But he has the opportunity to learn and be mentored by Orlando Brown Jr. and Trent Brown. And like you mentioned before, with Trent Brown's injury history, and even without that, the first offensive tackle off the bench typically plays somewhere in the 400 to 600 snap count range just by virtue of rotation and a whole other things that are going on. So he's going to see the field, whether it's as a starter or in different sub packages. So he's the kind of person that when you're looking to block a Myles Garrett or a TJ Watt, some of the best pass rushers and people that are athletic freaks, you need someone that's an equally strong pass protector and an equally freaky athlete. And that's the kind of guy you're getting at 18. And like Dan Pitcher said, it's only because of the lower snap count that he was even available. Right. You have him for the extra 6 games Georgia played that past season. In our opinion, he's a top 10 pick, if not top 5, right with or right after Joe Alt. So I'll throw it over to Andrew if he's got anything else to add.
One thing real quick here. I want to interject. This thing that I'm looking forward to, and I'll let you, not to cut you off, Andrew, but on you talk about sub packages, goal line stands, or trying to get into it. You put him next to either side, next to Orlando Brown or Trent Brown as the extra lineman. Good luck stopping those guys. I mean, that right there is exciting. Or hell, give him the ball, let him run in. I don't really think they're going to do that, but I mean, he's athletic enough to do that. I mean, to me, that's exciting just in itself. If that's all we get, and we get sub packages from, we get that. I think that's awesome. Go ahead, Andrew.
I don't have much else to add there. I agree. I think as a baseline, yeah, you can put him out there. He's a better rotational 6 lineman to have out there than Jackson Carman. But I think the main takeaway,
and
I know fans maybe you'll have some like, oh, Miles Murphy didn't play, Dax Hill didn't play, but they were just not on the same level of prospect that Mims was. You can't come out of this draft, I think, without touching an offensive tackle in the first round. It was the best class that we've seen in 5 years at any position group, and then to come away with a guy like Mims at 18, just absolutely pumped. And to points that both of you have made, he's going to play this year. He's going to start games. So
yeah,
it'll be nice to have a real dude out there. And, film guys, they've gone into the weeds, and even in the 8 games, I mean, he is more refined, I think, than any offensive tackle you'll see that hasn't played. And he was behind real NFL tackles. It wasn't, by virtue of him not being like a pro level guy as a 19-year-old. He was at Georgia. Super talented guys.
They're pretty good.
So
they're pretty good.
We're jacked up about it.
Yeah, and the thing is, I've heard this a lot that you kind of mentioned it there that he didn't play a lot, but it's not from not having the talent or not having the technique. He was behind NFL talent there, and to me, honestly, okay, you know how we always say we like the running back who still has a lot of tread on his tire. That's where I think he is. I mean, he hasn't gotten a lot of hits or anything like that. I mean, he's still in, pretty good shape too. I think that bodes well for being a healthier player in the long run. But we'll see what happens. But I'll get this question here from Wells here, or Willis. I always call him Wells. Willis. If Matt Lee is that good, should Ted Karras move to left guard? What's you guys' thoughts on that?
I can take that. I mean, I don't know if I'd go that route. I think Ted Karras is a really good center. I think when they signed him as a free agent, I wanted to see them use him as a guard, but at this point, he's their center. And you're not moving him to the side we love Matt Lee more than, anybody on Twitter, but you're not setting him to the side for a 7th rounder. I think Matt Lee's going to make the roster. He's going to beat Trey Hill out. He's going to be in that, 2 deep at offensive line. I don't think there's any reason to mess with that. I think we would have loved as much as anyone to get a replacement for Volson, or at least somebody to compete, but I am definitely not moving. I think Karras out of his strong spot for a 7th rounder, as much as we love the potential there.
So I have a question for you on that. And I love Ted Karras. I mean, he's been on I was one of the first guys to have him on my podcast when he came to Cincinnati. He's a great dude. Does a Cincy hat and everything. And like I said, this is no Ted Karras hate or anything. But I've said this, that you got to get some of this money, this free agency money off of this offensive line. If Ted doesn't re-up, and this could be Ted's last contract, maybe he wants to try to go to some other team that pays him more, which, I mean, I will never, be upset with anybody who can go to another team to get more money. I totally understand that. If that is this leverage, I'll put it this way, is this leverage that the Bengals have on him with Lee? Would Lee, if Ted Karras moves on, would Lee, in your guys' opinion, possibly ready to be our starting center next year?
Yeah, we definitely think that Matt Lee could be the starting center in 2025. But as far as leverage is concerned for any contract negotiations, despite what we think of Matt Lee and how great of a prospect he is, one thing we've noticed is that draft capital always sticks with a player for better or for worse. Mm-hmm. So to come into the negotiation table with a 7th round center and someone who's been in the league for about 7 years now with almost 10,000 snaps on the offensive line, it's not as strong of an argument as a team could possibly make, but it's definitely something that Andrew mentioned where he should beat out Trey Hill this year for that backup center job. And if it comes to it where you need to save money somewhere, it's just comforting to know that you have what could be a starting center for 2025 already on the roster.
And Danny Ryan, I love Teddy K. I do. I know he said, no, he's got to retire back. I love it. And I'm a big Bengals fan. Everybody knows I am, but I always try to look at it as it is a business, and sometimes your favorite players have got to move on. I love Ted K. I'm not saying I want Teddy K to move or anything. I'm just saying they drafted this guy. They've got, I mean, they're already going to get Trent Brown off the books next year with Mims. You got him, and you got Karras coming up. Teddy K's next year, and the Karras is coming soon, and then Orlando Brown's in a couple years. So I mean, you got to start getting some guys in there that you drafted and developed. Now, with that being said, I think you guys have said that Lee he's just a center, right? There's no chance of him being able to switch over to guard or anything like that.
Yeah, he's a center, Jeff. He's 6'5", 295. I know he struggled a little bit keeping weight on. I don't think that'll be a problem at the NFL level, but he's never played guard. He started 4 years in Power 5 schools at center. He's well known for calling out coverages and blitzing, and so I think keeping him where that spot is at center is the route they need to go. And I want to build on that point about getting cheaper on the O-line because that is something we've been calling for years. They need to draft offensive linemen better, and we have really dove into production and athleticism. Those are the two things that are very predictive of offensive line success, and we like to call it a 70-70 threshold.
Okay.
This was the first year that they drafted more than one guy that crossed that threshold, and actually the first year that they drafted even one guy that crossed that threshold. And when you find those guys, they stick around in the league, and they drafted two this year, both Matt Lee and Amarius Mims. They were two of the 13 guys we had in this class. And so to see them on the roster that are joining that team, I think they're starting to move. Something changed this year in terms of how they looked at offensive linemen. And I think that as Bengals fans, we should be excited to see that because they can't keep signing mid-level guys for $10 million a year. You can't build an O-line that way because if they're reaching free agency, that means the team that had them didn't see the upside there. If you're even letting them get to free agency, and I think that's how they've been building, and that's fine. But if one of those guys goes down, I mean, you have a base level floor of a mediocre O-line, and then it goes downhill even more. So to see what they did this year, I think, we're moving that way towards a cheaper, younger offensive line, and that's what they needed to do.
Well, they had to change something because what they were doing obviously was not working. I mean, as far as drafting and developing offensive linemen, I don't know what it is, but they could not. I mean, now I say that, and Cordell Volson has been there, and you can say what you want about Cordell Volson. Yes, we could improve, but I mean, Cordell has gotten better, and he's a decent a guard there. So that is one guy that they've actually been able to develop. But like you said, you cannot keep bringing in guys free agency and paying that money, especially if you want to keep Chase. If you hopefully potentially maybe want to keep T. Higgins, which I think we all in agreement, he's probably gone after this year. Again, I love T. Higgins. I've met his mom. I've met his dad. I know all of them. They're awesome people, but sometimes people got to move on. That's just the way it is. And that's why you draft a guy like Burton. Now, before we get to Burton, Natty Ron here was asking, what do you guys think about Jenkins? I personally like the pick. I would have loved to gotten Johnny Newton. That's who I liked to have gotten, but we couldn't get him. Jenkins was my next one, or Sweat, but those are the three guys I wanted. One of those three. We got Jenkins, so I was good with it. Go ahead, Ryan. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, Andrew and I think the day before the draft, put together a mock realistic scenario of who we thought the team would select. And in the first two rounds, we had them going with Amarius Mims, followed by Chris Jenkins, the defensive tackle from Michigan. And one thing that really stood out to us about his profile was he was arguably the best run-defending defensive tackle in all of college football last season. And when you look at their recent free agent signings with a B.J. Hill or a Sheldon Rankins, those are guys that are incredibly strong as pass rushers, but don't necessarily offer as much as someone like DJ Reader did in the run game. So when you're not necessarily looking to replace the player, but trying to replace just the aggregate production of the player, Chris Jenkins is a great place to start. When you put him in there alongside B.J. Hill and Sheldon Rankins, you're not necessarily getting all of DJ Reader in one player, but you are taking someone that's known as a great run defender and who complements a lot of the people you have in that room already. He's also a really solid athlete, team captain, comes from a great program with a great pedigree, so checks a lot of the boxes that you're looking for. Obviously, there's room for improvement in his pass rush game. He has some great people in the room to learn from in that regard. But just as far as a complimentary piece, someone we were really excited to see them draft if the name wasn't Johnny Newton.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I am still scared. I won't say scared, but worried about replacing DJ Reader. He was my favorite player on the defense. I love that dude, and it sucks that he left. That's why I kind of wanted to Travion Sweat. That's kind of what I wanted because I thought he was a DJ Reader clone. If he's going to be him or not, I have no idea. But that is one thing. Now, a question I'll throw it to you, Andrew. With the rotation that Ryan was just talking about, now I'll throw this in there too. We got we got McKinley Jackson. We got him. We'll skip Burt. We'll go back to him since we're talking defensive line here. With McKinley Jackson, a lot of people think that was a reach, including myself. But I understand why they did it because you kind of needed a true nose. But it sucks to reach for it. But if the rotation is Jenkins, Jackson, B.J. Hill, and Sheldon Rankins, how do you guys feel about that as a possible rotation to be able to replace what DJ Reader did, because we haven't had a rotation in my mind since BJ Hill, DJ Reader, and Larry Ogunjobi. Those three guys were pretty much a good rotation there, because BJ could flip back and forth between both sides. What's your thoughts on those four guys? And I'll just go to McKinley here. What's your thoughts on McKinley Jackson? Go ahead, Andrew.
Oh.
That's a lot there. Sorry.
I don't know if I'm the
put
right
too much
guy to
stuff
ask. To fire up Bengals fans. McKinley Jackson, I mean.
Well, I don't think a lot of Bengals fans actually like the pick, to be honest. I'll tell you that.
It was to your point on Tavondre Sweat, he was the one nose tackle in this class that we thought could come in right away. It was a shallow class. And I see why they did it. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of at the point where I'm just hoping that our grades in our system have something wrong. I don't think they will be, because he grades in a territory where there hasn't been much NFL success at all. So I'm hoping he can just be a body that can be in the rotation. I think from the top three perspective, adding Jenkins and Rankins and replacing Reader, I think I would argue they got better there by having that three rotation with pass rush. I think
and McKinley might not be in the rotation. McKinley might not be in the rotation. That's just me talking. It could be those three that you just said. It could be the rotation.
Right. I don't know. I'd love to see McKinley Jackson's flashes stick in the league. I don't know. Maybe there's something there still to unlock. But I like the top three rotation. I'll say that to stay on the positive side. I'm a little bit worried that McKinley Jackson will have a Tyler Shelvin-esque arc in the NFL, where we get excited about some of those flashes. We watch the clips. We always get excited when the picks are made. But when you really dig into the profile, it's a little bit worrisome. And I think felt a little bit of validation seeing that a lot of NFL draft analysts out there felt the same way. Let's just say as Bengals fans, we're hoping that works out. Right. But I do love adding Rankins and then adding Chris Jenkins as well. I think having that three deep there is really exciting.
So is that closer to what we had? I say, is that closer to what we had when we had DJ, BJ, and Larry O? Are they close to what we had there? Because that was pretty good.
I think that's a fair assessment. I think Sheldon Rankins can bring some of that Ogunjobi, but has more in the run game. And I think adding Jenkins that's a super young, exciting guy to add to that rotation. I think, like a lot of people have said, hopefully he's a BJ Hill. I could definitely see that arc happening pretty quickly with him. So I'm a big fan of that pick, and I like the three deep there. I just hope one of those young guys in the back of the room emerges as a fourth interior defensive lineman. I think I would like to see them dive back into free agency and bring somebody else in there, maybe another cheaper veteran, because I don't feel confident about putting Zach Carter or McKinley Jackson out there for any meaningful amount of snaps. Maybe Ryan, you have a more positive outlook on that one, because I loved the picks after the McKinley Jackson one. Well,
hold on a second, Ryan. Let me throw this comment up here real quick. Willis here's got a comment. McKinley Jackson is going to be the defensive version of Orlando Brown Jr. Terrible score, but plays better than the numbers. I hope you're right. I mean, I do. Go ahead, Ryan. What do you got?
I think the biggest thing on that one is, while the athleticism for both players definitely left a lot to be desired, the production profile in college for Orlando Brown Jr. was much stronger than that of McKinley Jackson. And if Jackson would have come out after 2022, I'm not even sure if he was eligible back then, but that season looked a lot better and had a lot more of those flashes than Andrew was talking about than he did in 2023. And I think the biggest thing that was disappointing to us in his profile was the run defense in 2023, which, if you're a nose tackle, is something you should pride yourself on, just wasn't anywhere near what we saw in 2022. And maybe that's just a fluke and he can sort of regain that earlier form. But part of what we value in a prospect is how well they perform in their last season coming out. And it's always a bit of a red flag on the profile when you take that dip in production right before you head off to the NFL. But one thing I'll say on the nose tackle pick is that body type isn't always determinative. And while it's great to have somebody that's big in that spot, as long as they can stop the run and hopefully add some value in the pass rush game too, they're not going to be playing as a zero technique right over the face of the center for every single snap. I'm sure they're going to be moving all over that interior, the defensive line. And you're paying two linebackers to sort of clean up the mess that you make and help create. So it doesn't have to be a 6'4", 350-pound behemoth. As long as you can stop the run, that's a great place to start. And I think that's why we value the Jenkins pick a lot more than McKinley Jackson.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And the other thing I'll put too is with the defense in general, with having Bell and Stone as our safeties this year, Nothing against Daxhill, but he didn't get them lined up right. We're going to be lined up right more this year than we were last year. That'll put the linebackers in the right position to make the plays that they were used to them. We're used to them making that they weren't making last year. So that's going to be, I think, a big help in itself in the run game, in the defense. I mean, let's be honest, if you're lined up in the wrong spot or you don't give your guys enough time to get to the right spot before the ball snaps, it's kind of hard to make the play. So I think that's another big key to this defense moving forward, because we got to improve on our run defense. Our run defense was terrible last year, so that's what we got to improve on that. But I want to get to my opinion, the steal of the draft, and that's our number 3 pick, Jermaine Burton. I'll be honest, I didn't watch a lot of Alabama tape, so I really didn't know a whole lot about him. I did see some of the stuff about him hitting the fan or whatever, which chasing or storming the field, all that stuff. Stuff happens. I don't think it was that big of a deal. But his tape alone is ridiculous. He's a plug-and-play guy. To me, you put him on the outside, T on the other outside, and you put Jamar in the slot, dude, I think our offense has gotten better. Now, he's got to be able to keep his emotions under control, and I think with this locker room, they're going to take him under the wing and help him out with that. But again, like I said, I think this is the steal of the draft. What do you guys think about Jermaine Burton?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think he's one of those guys that we are super excited by, and kind of the theme of the draft where you're taking a guy where maybe the floor isn't very high, but the ceiling is off the charts. And Burton was the best deep threat in the entire class. And so if you're looking to replace a Higgins in a year, which, I mean, realistically, that's going to be what's happening. I think there isn't a better guy in the class to do it, and he's going to do it with a little bit more burst even than Higgins was able to. In year one, he's going to come in, and he'll be ahead of Yoshavash. He'll be ahead of Charlie Jones, and think he adds a different element. You can move Chase into the slot a little bit more. And again, it was the character things with him. That's what kept him from going earlier. And so you pair him with Nemarius Mims and having them in the first 2 days, you're looking at ceilings where you could have a bona fide wide receiver 2, a bona fide Pro Bowl right tackle. And that's something that Bengals fans should be excited about. That was a good pick from our perspective. And agree, I think it was time the Bengals took a chance on somebody. You talk about your culture all the time. Put somebody in there that, doesn't fit the team captain, the guy that they talk about all the time. We have to have all these boxes checked before we pick a guy. Pick a guy with that talent and trust your locker room to bring that out of him. And I think that's why we're excited, because everything in the profile says that he can be a really, really good receiver. And so it's going to be really exciting to check back on that one in a year or two.
To me, the difference, because Marvin Lewis always took guys like that. You can have a locker room with 1, maybe 2 guys in there. You can't have a locker room full of guys like that and expect your culture as a coach to change everybody that's in the locker room. That's what's different, in my opinion, from what Zach has established here to what Marvin. And I'm not trying to throw shade on Marvin, just facts. The guys that Marvin would draft, he'd take more chances on guys than Zach has. This is really the first one that I think they've taken a chance on character-wise, and that's why I think it'll work, because of what Zach has built here. Just like you said, Ryan, about drafting the team captain guys, team first. Also, the locker's full of those guys. So they're going to be like, yo, get in line or get out, So that's the way I feel about it. Ryan, what do you got?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think we're long gone from the days of the Vontaze Burficts, the Pac-Man Jones, the PJ Dawsons, and all of those players had their skills and they were good in their own right. But when you have a culture that prides itself on so many quality talents and quality individuals, where you bring someone in who has a little bit of a troubled past in their younger days, I think he's a type of receiver that, like Andrew mentioned, could have and should have gone way earlier in the draft, if not for some of those off-field concerns. But when you put him in a room with a Jamar Chase, a T. Higgins, you have leaders on both the offense and the defensive side. That doesn't seem to be a real worry for either of us, and especially for the team as well. But what I really like about the pick is he brings such a different dimension to the offense that we haven't seen from the guys already on the roster. And don't get me wrong, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are deep threats in their own right, but it's a little bit different. Jamar is such a merchant of that back shoulder fade, and T. Higgins really has that body and that size to go up there and win those 50-50 balls. But if you're looking for a type of receiver to genuinely stretch the field and get open behind the safety, someone that we haven't really had on this roster for a while, it's such a unique skill set that complements what we already have going on there, that I think for the first time, whether he's in the slot or on the outside, we have a trio of wide receivers that are truly unique and different. And that's no shade to Tyler Boyd as well. He's a great player going to Tennessee. We wish him all the best. But it's something that genuinely excites us to see three different and unique profiles and how they can all work together this upcoming season.
Yeah, I think we all three have said it. The biggest thing that I'm excited for is it frees up Jamar. I'm loving what I'm hearing, what pitchers saying about moving him slot, moving him around, doing different things with Jamar. Because all you gotta do is give the guy the ball and give him some space, and he can make stuff happen. I mean, he's one of the most electrifying men in football. So the more opportunity and more different ways you can use him, the better. And that's why I think this opens up even more to this offense. Which let's get to the tight ends here. Now I'll get to the secondary hitting, but I want to get to the tight ends. I am like last year. I would have lost a bet last year because I said, we're definitely drafting a tight end. I mean, we got one of the best tight end drafts ever. Of course, we're gonna at least draft one, maybe two, because we need to. We're gonna draft any. They got Tanner Hudson, who is a diamond in the rough. I think I'm not going to say he's your number one tight end. He was ours last year. They re-signed him. They got Mike Gesicki. They got Drew Sample. So I'm like, going to draft him. Going, I don't think they're going to draft anything because they didn't draft one last year. Well, I was wrong. They did draft one. They drafted two, and one of them, a Cincinnati boy, Eric All. I am really excited to see what he can do. Like it's another. It's a chance they're taking on that Zach usually doesn't do. That's not character or anything. It's injuries. He had spinal surgery last year, and then 2 years ago. Then this past year he tore his ACL, and he's recovering from that. But if he's healthy, guys, in this offense, he could be really, really good, in my opinion. What's your thoughts on Alt? Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, he was. And again, building on the theme here, I think everybody can see it. A high-risk, lower floor draft. But Eric All was one of the few tight ends we highlighted early in the process that have the receiving production profile that matches some of the Sam Laportas that have come out, the Dalton Kincaids. And again, we're talking about big injury caveats here, but when he was on the field, he put up profiles that mimic a lot of what the elite tight ends are doing today. They're able to make guys miss after the catch. They're taking the pass and giving Burrow an extra 10 yards. That isn't something that he's been getting throwing the Drew Sample. And so if we can keep him on the field, I think there's real potential there. And it was about time they took a chance on some of these tight ends. They need to get some younger guys in there and see what they got. Give Burrow a chance with some real dudes out there, not just warm bodies. And I think that's exciting. And then Tanner McLaughlin, which that's another exciting pick. We didn't love it, but he does cross a few things. He ran a really fast 40, which is what you want to see out of tight ends. Receiving is his calling card. And so I'm excited to see what he looks like out there on the field as well. He is 25 years old already as a rookie, which, that probably limits some of the upside. But I think, he's a guy that you can have in the room and maybe take the place in a cheaper way of a Tanner Hudson long term. And so I think that's exciting. I mean, they're two guys who can really catch the ball as tight ends. And so I was pumped to see them taking two tight ends in this class. I think they needed to do that with having 10 picks. It was about time. I don't know, Ryan, if you have any other thoughts on those two guys.
Yeah, the first thing that really stands out to me about Eric All is that despite the amount of games he missed last year, he finished as Iowa's leading receiver among all receivers, tight ends, and running backs. So maybe that's an indictment on the Ferentz offense and Iowa in general, but it also shows that he's an incredible talent when healthy and when available on the field. So like Andrew said, there are a lot of injury caveats there, but the fact that he was able to come back from his back injury at Michigan and become a productive player at Iowa shows a lot to us that the ability is there for him to be a contributor in the passing game. And I also like his blocking ability. I know we didn't get to see it too much, but coming out of the programs he did in the Big Ten at Iowa and Michigan, he was asked to block a fair bit. So if you're looking for someone in addition to that Tanner McLaughlin that can provide a little bit from that inline position, I definitely think he's someone worth getting excited about. As far as McLaughlin concerned, Andrew kind of hit on all of the pros and cons that come to our minds immediately. He's someone that I think suits best in that flexed out slot-esque kind of role that offers something in the passing game that could be the next Tanner Hudson on this roster. But I'm just excited to see what he can do as another depth piece in that tight end room and sort of how that tight end room continues to grow and progress over the coming seasons.
Now, my question with these two, because potentially they could be our starting or our two tight ends of the future. You touched on it a little bit. What's their blocking like? Are these guys more receiving tight ends, or are they more of an everything tight end? Right now we got Tanner Hudson and we got Mike Gesicki. Basically, they're just receivers, and we got Drew Shamba who's the blocker. Are these guys more all around tight ends that can do everything? Because we could just say we put them both out there, and you don't know if they're going to go out for a pass or they're going to block. Is that in their skill set?
I think with Eric All, you're looking at a tight end who can do it. He's not going to block like a Drew Sample would, but he's capable. Tanner McLaughlin, you don't want him blocking. He's going to be more like a Mike Gesicki out there, throwing him the ball. Eric All definitely has that potential, but I don't know if you're going to be looking at, a George Kittle type out there, but a guy who you could put in line, Eric All, you can do that. McLaughlin, I wouldn't be putting him on the line of scrimmage, and I doubt that's their plan either.
Okay. That's good to know, because I'm curious about that. But I am. Let's just talk about the offense here a little bit with the tight end talent that we have. This is the most talent Joe Burrow has had in the tight end room, and this is going to his 5th year ever. And everybody kept saying, this offense doesn't use tight end. Joe doesn't care about tight end. I always thought Joe cared about tight end. Honestly, I just don't think they had tight ends that he could trust. I think he's definitely got 2 of them on there. Gesicki and Tanner Hudson. He definitely can trust them too. I know he's developing with Pitcher. How much do you think Pitcher is going to open up the offense? Because drafting 2 means they're going to use the tight end more, I think, in this offense than they have in the past. What's your guys' thoughts on what this means for the tight end room in general and for the offense right now for the Bengals? Go ahead, Ryan.
I think you have to look back to the season they made the Super Bowl and see the kind of impact that someone like Hayden Hurst had. Obviously, when you're adding someone like Jermaine Burton to the room, you have 3 bona fide wide receivers that could be your options 1, 2, and 3. But there's something comforting about having a tight end that can sort of run the seam, take that spot in the middle of the field, and sit down on a choice route, and really be that safety blanket, for lack of a better word, on 3rd down, especially in short yardage situations or the red zone. So I think that as long as you put someone in that spot that's capable, Joe Burrow is going to find the open man and make sure the ball gets distributed to whoever can have the best option on that play at that time. So whether it's Jamar or T or whoever's the tight end on that play, Joe's going to find him. So I think as long as you provide him with someone that is as good as we're hoping for and that can really elevate everyone else's play and be a valuable asset on the field, I wouldn't be surprised to see the tight end featured a lot more in this offense, especially when you've brought in a lot of free agents and some recent draftees.
Exactly. That's kind of my thoughts, too. We've been on for 42 minutes. I want to get to Natty Ron here asked about the secondary. And we drafted 2 DBs there, Cedric Johnson and Anthony. I always mess up his name, John Anthony. What's your guys' thoughts on those 2, and what's your thoughts on the secondary in general?
I think that's interesting. I wouldn't be expecting either of their picks this year to make too much of an impact. I think with Newton, you're looking at a guy who could come in as your cornerback 4 right away, which is something they needed to find in free agency anyways. And I would argue he was maybe one of the best guys you could do that with. He's a veteran who fine.
I missed Josh Newton. Sorry, I missed him on my list. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead. He was the first guy that he was a 5th round pick. Sorry, go ahead.
I was checking my screen over here too.
Yeah,
Josh Newton. I mean, he was a guy who was projected by a lot to be a 1st rounder coming out if he would have come out last year. So he has the skill set. He had a much worse year this year, and that's why you see him dropping as far as he did. But I think you're looking at a guy who can come in and he'll be fine. He's not going to be your future cornerback 1, cornerback 2, or even cornerback 3, but I think he's a guy that can do a better job than DJ Ivy would. Dejon Anthony, I think he's going to be one that's fighting it out at the back of the room. So when you ask about the secondary in general, I do kind of still worry that they don't have a cornerback 1, and I think that's why there were some conversations about Quinyon Mitchell if he fell, Cooper DeJean, Nate Wiggins, that was a real option there. So it'll be interesting. I think Lou has a ton of talent back there now. He's got premium, spots with Dax Hill and Jordan Battle who don't have clear starter spots. So seeing what he does with all of those guys back there is going to be fascinating and a little bit, I think, above my pay grade even over here. But I don't know, Ryan, if you have any more thoughts on what that might look like? Dax Hill, I don't know what he's going to do with him.
That's the one I'm interested in, is Dax. I'm not. I think he can play slot. I think they want him to try to play outside. We'll see how that works. But go ahead, Brian.
The safety room, I think, is incredible and better than the past 2 seasons, even when we had
Really?
Von Bell for his first tour in Cincinnati.
Ooh,
I
okay.
think adding Geno Stone, Von Bell, Jordan Battle, getting Tyson Anderson back, and removing Nick Scott from that room,
just removing them.
yeah, really sets the true back end of this
Back
defense
end.
up. What can I say? It wasn't my favorite signing of that offseason, but it really sets up the back end of the secondary for success. But I'll go out there on the record and say I'm still really concerned about the secondary and specifically the corners we have on the outside. I think Cam Taylor-Britt is a great player and has already provided much more value than you could have expected from his as a second rounder. But I think the jury's still out on DJ Turner, but he's still young. He's only going into his second season.
And he's
I'm
fast
happy
as hell.
Yeah, he's got some great athleticism, which is always something good to fall back on at the outside corner position. But beyond them, I think Dax Hill played less than 100 snaps at outside corner during his college career. He's not someone that I can trust at that outside corner position. Like Andrew mentioned, Josh Newton is fine. He has the pedigree of a big-time program, played 5 seasons on the outside, but there's nothing really in his profile that excites me, especially off of such a down year in 2023. And then Dejon Anthony's that Swiss Army knife. He's played a lot of safety, both free safety, down in the box, played a lot of slot corner. So he kind of looks like a Dax Hill as far as where he played in his college career. And I'm not exactly sure where on this roster he has a spot. If you're looking for one of the rookies to not make the roster, I hate to be rude to him so early on in his career, but he sort of got that target for me for one of the earliest potential cuts on the team. But I really think that the team needs to bring in some veteran help on the outside and try to bolster that room specifically a little bit more.
Yeah, and things like this is like you just said that he might not make the team. This is where I was kind of surprised with all the picks they had. They never packaged any of them up and tried to move up to go get something because we got a talented team. I mean, I didn't think not all these guys are going to make this team. I think more of them than I thought before the draft will have a better shot making this team. But that's where I was kind of surprised that they had so many extra picks that they didn't package anything up and try to move up. But that Dax Hill to me is going to be, I don't want to say the story of training camp, but he's going to be the one that I'm really trying to pay attention to see where they're putting him at and what they're trying to get him to do because he's played slot. I'm not really concerned. I think he can do it. But we got Mike Hilton there. As long as Mike Hilton stays healthy, that's his. We need the outside guy. And DJ Turner is fast as hell. He's got the speed, athleticism, like you said, to do it. Just got to get it done on the field. So that's where I think is going to be the interesting part. One of the interesting parts in training camp. The other one is going to be kicker here. Brad Robinson had a great year in Michigan. Should have translated here to the NFL. I think it sounds silly, but I think him learning how to hold for the first time ever somehow screwed him up to try to kick. Now, I think he's got that down where, because if you ever watch Darren Simmons, and I've seen him where he's so technical on how you hold the ball and spin the ball and do all this stuff and everything, I watched it. There's a lot to it. So as a rookie of never doing it, I think that had, just my personal opinion, I think that had a lot to do with the way Brad kicked the ball. That being said, the kicker they brought in is pretty damn good college. I say kicker. The punter they brought in is a pretty damn good punter. I think it's going to be a pretty good competition here. What's you guys' thoughts on Brad Robinson maintaining or we have having a new kicker, new punter? I keep saying punter or kicker. Anyway, you know what I mean. Go ahead.
I think Ryan's our resident punter guy, so I'm going to pass it over to him on this.
There you go, Ryan. He's punting to you.
I think it all depends on what a team is specifically looking for in a punter, but the biggest difference to me is the strength in their legs. Robbins was known for a lot of his hang time when he was at Michigan and not so much how far he could punt the ball down the field. But I think a lot of people have seen the clip from McNamara of him absolutely banging a punt 80 yards in one of those Texas Tech games. And I think you can teach a punter to have accuracy and be precise, but you can't always teach leg strength. And whether that's an innate ability or something that McNamara is doing in the weight room, it's something that Robbins just doesn't seem to have. And Andrew and I try to watch all the Bengals games that we can, and I remember every time seeing Robbins take the field, we would be talking to each other saying, this thing's going to hang up there for maybe 5-6 seconds, but gosh, it's going to be the longest 20, 30-yard punt you will have seen all season. And there are times when that's great, but hopefully the Bengals, especially with Evan McPherson in their roster, aren't going to be punting from anywhere on the 40-yard line of the opposing team on in. So really, if you're looking for someone to flip the field, absolutely kick the crap out of the ball, it's going to be McNamara. And one thing that we're always staunch about is not spending draft capital on punters and specialists in general. So it's a bit disappointing to see that a 6th-round pick could have been just absolutely lit on fire from last year. That's a whole different conversation to open up. But I genuinely think there's a real battle going on in camp. And if the Bengals are looking for that stronger leg that they can mold into something that's a bit more accurate and precise, wouldn't be surprised to see McNamara in stripes on the week 1 game day.
Hey, well, we'll find out. By the way, Daddy Ron is really enjoying you guys. Tell everybody where they can find you guys at, find the Gridiron Grading and everything you guys got coming up here soon.
Yeah, no, definitely. We're over at Gridiron Grading on Twitter. We're actually going through our draft grade and impact series. We're looking at where each team's rookies could fall as NFL players moving forward using some of our past data. And the Bengals still haven't come up yet, and we're in the top 10 now. And I think if anybody's been listening, we really like the draft class. So we'll be continuing to talk through the Bengals rookies over there, see where they're going to rank. But probably take a little time off here as the draft wrapped up. It was a long process that was really rewarding, and continue to follow guys like you, Jeff, who are out here at Bengals camp, keeping us in the loop. I think it's a super exciting time, and we've set the young foundation now, I think, for the Bengals roster that hopefully, leads us going forward. But over at Gridiron Grading, we'll be continuing to keep up with all of that.
Hey, make sure you guys follow these guys. They do a great job over there. And well, as long as my ankle feels better, I was going to go to, see, they got the indoor practice facility now, so I never know when they're going to be inside or outside. So, like today, like yesterday, they were inside, and then I'm like, oh, my ankle hurts. I think I'll be all right. They're probably going to go inside. Then all of a sudden, I see Joe out there throw passes to Gesicki. I'm like, damn it! I should have went out to the bridge.
Say, you got to go get on whatever plan Burrow is doing every offseason. Get that ankle healed up.
Well, he's a little younger than I am. When you're 49, you go to bed and you wake up and stuff start hurting. Like, how did I pull a muscle while I'm sleeping in bed? I don't understand how you do that, but when you get older, that happens. Don't worry, you guys will find out someday.
Yep.
Anyway, guys, again, plug yourself again real quick before I let you go. I appreciate you guys coming on. Plug it one more time.
Yeah, everyone can follow us on Twitter at Gridiron Grading. Lots of great content coming up. We're currently building out our board for 2025. I know it's way too early, but draft season never sleeps. But Jeff, like you've been saying this whole time, it's honestly a great time to be a Bengals fan between Burrow getting healthy, having a draft that finally looks like it can change the near and the distant future of this team. We're just really excited, and we're hopeful for the season to come a lot sooner than later. So we're going to be watching with y'all and hopefully in Cincinnati this year too. So we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely, guys. Again, I appreciate you coming back on. And like I said, you guys are full of lots of really good information. So I appreciate you coming on. And we'll definitely have to do it again sometime. Maybe later on the season. If you guys got something cool out there on that I missed, just hit me up and say, hey, we got this coming out. We can talk about it or something. Just DM me, man. I'm always looking at my DM. So I appreciate you guys.
We'll be in Cincinnati. Who day, Jeff?
All right, brother. See you guys. Take it easy.
Who day? Have a good one.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Please make sure you guys go check out Gridiron Grading. They are, like I said, they do a great job over there. And like I said, they really like this draft. I really like this draft, except for I think we're all kind of agreeing with, except for the McKinley Jackson. And hopefully he turns out he's fine. I hope he does. I hope they all work out. But we'll see what happens. The Reds game is going to be starting here about 6:40. TJ Friedel is activated. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully he gives us a spark. I'll try that again. Hopefully he gives us a spark. We need something. I know we lost 11-0 yesterday, but a lot of, or not yesterday, we didn't play yesterday, Sunday. A lot of it is our offense or lack thereof. And that's what happens when you have a young team, plus when you're missing 3 guys that you were counting on. And TJ Friedel has come back, Nove Marte, and Matt McLean. Also updated Matt McLean. His shoulder seems to be recovering nicely, so maybe he might be back in August. We'll see. I'm still I'm optimistic. I'm not like counting on him coming back in August. I hope he does. But this offense has got to get it going because looks like Hunter Green is starting to figure it out. I mean, he pitched really good the other night. I mean, he did. Still threw too many pitches. He's got to get that down. But we couldn't score. Lozolo pitched awesome. We couldn't score. We got to be able to score. I think we're 20-something innings in GABP that we haven't scored. It's the longest scoreless streak ever at GABP. And this is one of the easiest ballparks to hit in. I mean, it's a fan box. I mean, ball's fly out of here, left and right. And the Reds are struggling. And I've said this last year, and I'll say it again this year. This is still a young team. We're going to go through ups and downs until they figure out how to get more consistent. But again, they've been missing 3 guys. They're getting one on back. Marte's not coming back till, I want to say July. Maybe Clayton comes back in August. We'll see what happens. But the pitching staff is always going to keep us in these games. We got to be able to score somehow. We got to figure that out. And that's been, honestly, the surprising part for me of how long we have went without scoring a freaking run. I mean, we got 22 scoreless streak in the playoffs. If you guys remember, we're in the playoffs. We haven't scored 22 innings in the playoffs. We're at 22-something innings right now. We haven't scored at home. We need to end these streaks. We need to end these streaks badly. So, all right, let's get to some of the comments here, and I'll get out of here. Stranger, you guys are late getting started. Draft Dale has already started. Stranger, Pork Chops, tell him, Stranger. And yes, Pork Chop, yes, you are right. Dale is a dog. Dude killed it. Dale got 82 of the 100 drafts in the top 100 in his draft. He got him right, basically. I mean, Dale, if you missed the Project Game Day draft guide that Dale and Satori did, you missed out on a great, great book. It had everything. Like I said, 82 out of 100. That's Dale should be paid for this shit. That's how good it is. I mean, Dale knows what he's talking about. That's why Dale is my trusted go-to guy. I get a lot of different opinions on here, but I really trust what Dale says. And he just knocked it out of the ballpark this year. So make sure you guys, when it comes around draft, or you'll talk 2025 draft, check out Bengals and Brews and check out Dale on the show. Check out the Bengals and Brews Twitter because he is killing it. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you. Shout out to the show sponsors, as always, the best barbecue around. It's Midwest Best Barbecue. If you have not checked it out, please go check it out. Get the Uno Wings, CTB Wings, G-Funk. Like I said, my boy Chop loves the macaroni and cheese. It is delicious. Like I said, you can take a dart and throw it at the meal. Why can't I think of the word of it? The menu. Jeez, the menu. I do that. I do it all the time. I start talking, I forget words. Throw a dart at the menu and pick whatever the dart hits, and it's going to be freaking delicious. I guarantee it. Go support Tim and Nicole. They're a great family. They're also Bengals fans. Go check them out. Also, please support Meyer Door and Windows. If you guys need windows and doors, I mean, it's that time of season to go get some new windows and doors. And trust me, when it comes wintertime, you are not going to regret it. Your energy bill is going to be down. Your house is going to be nice and warmer than it was this year. Get rid of those old, leaky, drafty windows and doors. Check out Meyer Windows, Doors, and More at www.cincinnati.com. Also, shout out to Hail Marys. Your ticket to the game. They're right in the heart of Cheviot. I always say this. They have free parking. It's right across the street. It's perfect because if you've been to Cheviot, there's not a lot of parking. Go across the street. Big parking spot, big parking lot. Go there, park, walk across the street, go to Hail Marys. They usually got food trucks there. They got big-ass TV screen, beer specials. The Reds game is going to be on there in about 20 minutes. So make sure you check it out, Hail Marys ticket to the game. We got the, like I said, this past weekend, yesterday, Monday, we had the Javante Woods Airways to Fairways, or Fairways to Airways golf outing. It was awesome. I had a great time out there. Please make sure you guys go to the JavanteWoodsFoundation.org. Support Icky and his family and their cause to try to help people with asthma and hopefully help them not pass away from this, because still 11 people a day die from asthma. That's still too many for a disease that's something I think you should not die from. We should be able to figure out how to keep people from dying from asthma. And that's what these guys are trying to do, so you don't have to suffer like Icky and his family did by losing a family member. So it is some serious stuff. I mean, it messes with your lungs, and it's hard to recover. So please go to the JavanteWoodsFoundation.org. Please, please, please donate. On tomorrow's show, who do I have? I got it scheduled. I just have to actually look, and I forget tomorrow. Actually, it doesn't say I have anybody on the show tomorrow. Man, that's interesting. I have to get somebody. I thought I had somebody on the show tomorrow. Well, I have to reach out for somebody tomorrow on the show. I know Trag's coming on Wednesday. So I will do my best, and I'll get somebody really interesting for you guys. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching the live show on ZTV, YouTube, X, Facebook, Twitch. You can follow me on all those, along with Instagram, Threads, TikTok. Please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share it out. I appreciate it. Ready? Throw it up. And that's just sports, baby. See ya!